guys. For this tutorial, we're going to show you how to add rain to a photo with Photoshop. Adding rain to an image can be a great way to add drama or set the mood. And by creating it in Photoshop, there's no risk of bad weather damaging your camera. Creating rain is easy thanks to Photoshop's filters. I'll show you how to keep the effect editable so you can experiment with the amount of rain and the direction of the rain is falling from. To find the settings that work best. Okay, so I went ahead and found a gloomy image of the city of New York City. I'm going to provide that. You can use any image you want, but I'm going to provide this image for you guys to use. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing you're going to do, obviously, is open it in Photoshop. And you'll see that the layer appears in the background layer there. Okay, next thing we're going to do, to keep the rain effect separate from the original image, we're going to add the rain on its own layer. So we're going to add a new layer right here with the new layers button. And we're going to title this rain. Okay, so we know that that is the rain layer. Perfect. So we've got two layers now in the background and the rain layer. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to fill it with black. So we're going to go to Edit, Fill. And we're going to hit black. Go ahead. There we go. Okay, so now we have the layer, rain layer is filled with black, full of opacity. The same thing we've done in some previous projects. We're going to add a little noise. So we're going to go ahead and go to Filter, Noise, Add Noise. And we're going to make sure that it is 25, around 25, depending on the size of your image. And we're going to use the direction is Gaussian and monochromatic. You don't want it to be color. You want it to be black and white monochromatic. Okay, guys? So make sure that Gaussian and monochromatic is clicked. And we're going to hit OK. You'll see that Photoshop fills the layer with noise. The dots are too small at the moment, so we're going to fix that next. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Edit. Once you hit OK, we're going to go to Edit, Transform, Scale. In the options bar, click the link icon between width and height. So we're going to click the link right here. Make sure that it's linked together. And the width, we're going to change this to 400%. So 400. So both of them should be at 400 now. And you can see the dots really increased in size. All right. We're going to hit the check to accept it. Now the dots are really huge. Okay. Now, the problem with making the contents of the rain layer so much bigger is that we've also made the document's file size much bigger, and the added size could slow Photoshop's performance to a crawl as we move through the remaining steps. So to reduce the file size, we need to crop away all the noise that now extends outside the canvas, the viewable area of the document, and into the gray pasteboard. So to do that, we're going to select Menu and choose All. Then we're going to go up to Image and press Crop. So we're going to go to Select and hit All. Then we're going to go to Edit. Image, then hit Crop. And then to deselect, we're just going to hit Select and Deselect. So what that did was the noise was extended past that. So we got rid of that so it doesn't slow down the document while we're slow down Photoshop while we're working on it. Okay, so step number 6, we're going to convert the rain layer into a smart object. We'll turn the noise into falling rain using Photoshop's motion blur filter, but to keep the filter settings editable, we'll apply motion blur as a smart filter. And to do that, we first need to convert the rain to smart layer. So we're going to go right click and we're going to convert to a smart object. And you'll see that little, so that means that it still remains editable, okay? But we can add some effects to it. The icon appears in the layer's preview thumbnail, telling us that the layer is now inside a smart object. Okay, so then we're going to change the blend mode to screen. So we're going to go up to the blend mode and we're going to change it to screen. You can already see it kind of looks like snow, right, guys? That's funny. The screen blend mode hides all areas of black, leaving only the white dots visible. Then we're going to apply the motion blur filter. So we're going to go to blur, select, filter, blur, motion blur. And we're going to, in the motion blur dialog box, set the direction of the rain using the angle value. You can enter a value directly or click and drag the dial to rotate it. I'll set mine to 65. So we're going to go here and set it to 65. Okay. Then set the distance of the motion blur. Drag the slider bar along the bottom to change the value and preview the results in your image. I'll set the distance to 75 pixels. So we're going to hit this to 75 right here. There we go. But the value that works best for your image will depend on its size. Don't worry about getting it exactly right for now because I'll show you how to change the value later if needed. Click OK when you're done. So basically, it depends on the image that you picked, how different the rain is going to look, how aggressive the rain is going to look. So this is what it looks with motion blur applied. Okay. All right. Now, in the layers panel, motion blur appears listed as a smart filter below the smart object, right down here. If you look in that layers panel. We'll come back later to that. Next, we're going to scale the rain smart object to 110%. So far, so good, except for one problem. The motion blur effect along the edges of the image, especially along the top and bottom, doesn't look right. Okay, so you can see it doesn't look correct. It's a bit hard to see in the screenshot, but if I zoom in on the top of my image, notice that the effect appears brighter just below the edge. The reason is that we cropped away all the noise outside the canvas, so the motion blur filter bumped up against the edge and had nowhere to go. The solution is to scale the noise just enough to move those problem areas outside the canvas. So with the Rain Smart Object selected in the Layers panel, go back to the Edit menu and choose Transform once again. Choose Scale. So we're going to select right here. And we're going to go to Edit, Transform, and Scale. Okay, so it temporarily turns everything off. Photoshop warns the motion blur smart filter will be disabled temporarily until the scaling is complete. Click OK to close the dialog box. Next, in the options bar, set the width to 110 with the link icon still selected. So we're going to select the width to 110 now. 110. And make sure that they're connected so both change. And then hit the check. And there we go. Photoshop turns the motion blur filter back on and the edges are fixed. Add a levels adjustment layer. So to reduce the amount of rain and add some contrast to the effect, we'll use a levels adjustment layer. In the layers panel, click the new fill or adjustment layer right here. And choose levels from the list. So we're going to choose levels. There we go. A levels adjustment layer appears above the rain. So there's the levels, okay? Adjustment layer. Then to limit the effect of the adjustment layer to just the rain, smart object below it, so it doesn't affect the original image, create a clipping mask by clipping the layers panel menu icon. So we're going to create this as a clipping mask. Okay. So it just affects the rain layer. We don't want to affect the original image. Okay. Then we're going to drag the black and white point sliders. Okay. The controls for the levels adjustment layer appear in Photoshop's properties panel. And in the center of the panel is a histogram, a graph showing the tonal range of the image right here on the left. This is a histogram. Okay. There's a black point slider to the left, a white point slider to the right, and a mid-tone slider in the middle. To adjust the rain effect, we only need the black and white sliders. First, to reduce the amount of rain, click on the black slider on the left and begin dragging it towards the right. As you drag, keep an eye on your image, and you'll see the darkest area of the rain grow darker and eventually disappearing completely. Then if you need to brighten the rain that's still visible, click on the white slider and drag it towards the left. Again, while keeping an eye on your image, you'll probably need to go back and forth with the two sliders to find the settings that works best for you. So all you have to do is to darken some areas. Oh, hold on. Okay. And you can see, excuse me, on the wrong one right here. So we're going to darken some of the rain. and lighten some of the rain. And you want to see which one best suits you. I think it looks really realistic when we have a little less. There we go. Awesome. And you're going to hit OK. There we go. Now here's my rain effect after dragging the slider. There's now less rain overall, and the effect has more contrast. Readjust the motion blur or level settings if you need. Finally, after moving the sliders, you may find there is no longer enough motion being applied to the rain. To adjust the motion blur amount, double-click on the motion blur smart filter in the layers panel. There we go. You can adjust the angle while you're here, but I'll leave mine set to 65. So you can adjust the distance some more if you want, and you can change the angle of the rain. But I do like 65. 65 is a good angle, good natural. There we go. And if you need to edit the black point and the white point sliders, just click on the histogram icon to reselect the adjustment layer, then the properties panel. And with that, we're done. And this is what my final one looks like. And the cool thing about it is that you can adjust it. You can actually bring all this into a different image too. It doesn't have to stay here. You can group these together and bring it into a different document. So once you've done a rain effect, you can save it for other documents. You just might have to adjust the distance and the speed, and the angle of the rain. So this is my rain filter. This is how it looks, what it looks like to create rain in Photoshop. I hope you guys enjoyed it.